Sometimes, even when you're surrounded by friends, you're bored. Nobody can agree on what to do or what movie to watch. And sometimes you just end up settling for Catan. And that's what we're here to discuss today by way of 5 prose poems. We're going to jump right in. Each time you see the image on screen change, it means there's a new point of view. Bricks. You and your friends are beyond bored. The show got cancelled and there is no beer. There's no money for beer. There's nothing good on TV, and the host's DVD collection is of questionable taste. You propose a game of Settlers of Catan and receive mixed responses. What else are we going to do, you say? When you're met with silence, you begin setting up the game. Everyone gets into it once the game starts. Starting settlements go down, and you position yourself near a large deposit of clay. You'll need this to build more settlements, and more importantly, roads. You trade smartly with the player to your left and try to play defensively. That is, until a large lumber profit happens and the economy skyrockets. You voraciously build roads, bricking up the countryside in order to connect your settlements that are long distances apart. You acquire the longest road card, but the player to your left takes it back at the very next turn. You see that they have an impressive road as well, but there is only so much board left. You imagine yourself as a clay brick, once an amalgam of ambiguous, mushy thoughts. Someone took you and shaped you into a perfect rectangle. That individuality scares you until you're slid right into place with all the others. Mortar binding you all together. By the end of the game, you and your adversary's roads meet. Neither of you has the resources to build a new settlement, and your other friend wins. They've developed much more intelligently than anyone else playing, but you can't help feeling like you had a better time overall. Or, when you agreed to play this game, you didn't think anyone was particularly interested in winning or losing, but once you were at the table, you saw a certain fire in your friend's eyes from across from you. It was your turn to place your first settlement, and you placed it at the base of a great mountain. On the border of a desert and a small deposit of clay, it wasn't the best place to start, but mining coal and ore from the mountains has never proved unhelpful. About a half hour into the game, you are poised for victory. You've managed to extend your colony from the center of Catan outward and block off some lucrative real estate from your opponents. Despite this, you roll a 7. You had 10 cards in your hand, but after you throw away half of them, you just pass to the next turn. Seeing that you're at 9 victory points, the other players limit trade with you to keep you from winning. Your friend who was fired up at the beginning flips their army, cutting you off from your most lucrative ore mine. This slows down your production, as you mostly used ore to get resources from offshore traders. Your colony is hemorrhaging goods fast, but before you get to roll the dice again, your other friend wins. He flips over a church, a library, and a university, bringing him past your 9 victory points into a winning 10. Your empire crumbles, and the other settlers travel into your old towns to set up shop. Wood. You're going to make your friend regret taking out your old Catan set and getting people ready to play it. It's a fun game and well designed, but after playing it for so many years, you find it a monotonous experience. Each time is the same, someone gets to 9 points, everyone goes cutthroat on them until someone else hits 9, and the game usually ends right after one of the 9-point players plays a trump card, and you just decide you've got to make a game out of this game if you're going to have a good time. You get into a turf war with one of your friends who favors clay. You build roads in the direction of each other's settlements, trying to block each other off. You attain longest road, but do not keep it for long. The race goes back and forth, but it is all for naught when your roads meet, and the game is almost over. While building roads, you've been investing in your army, using it to separate other players from their resources. Your knights stand at attention, blocking the entrance to the biggest ore mine on the island. Sadly, someone does win the game. You did a decent job of blocking people off, and when the game ends, you feel satisfied. At least, the dice have not chosen you. Sheep. You cannot think of a single time you have ever played this game where you did not end up with nearly all the sheep. Thinking you were playing smart, you settled on the pastures in hope of trading with your adversaries. But once they started trading for sheep at the docks, your herd piled up. Needless to say, you were frustrated, but this is the 5th time in a row. Every round, you pick up a sheep at least twice. On your turn, you roll a number you haven't occupied. This happens 3, 4 times in a row, and you're suddenly able to shuffle a deck of sheep. "There's always a sheep fucker," the rowdiest of your friends says. You agree, but you know what he's really saying. You're always the sheep fucker. You only agreed to play this game this time because there was nothing else to do, and now all you can think of is sheep. Their puffy wool, their brown, stained hooves. They bleed a few times. Then, in your mind's eye, you see a farm. Over 30 sheep, packed into a tiny pasture I called my hand. They bleat more now. More desperately. More seductively? After the game, you go back home with your sheep and fuck the hell out of them. Each one begs for you, and as the sheep fucker of Catan, it is your duty to please them. The dice have chosen you, and despite your aversion to sheep, you are atop one in your bed, the mattress squeaking relentlessly. You swear to yourself you'll never play again while you satisfy the last sheep. Wheat. You're going to play smarter this time than you ever have. You've been waiting for this moment for about a month now. This exact group of friends played this game 4 weeks ago, and since then, you've been looking up strategies. For an hour a day, you've simulated the game, randomizing the hexagons and number tiles, trying to figure out exactly the best strategy for every possible game. Of course, you couldn't prepare for every single situation, but you certainly prepared for more than the others. You are lucky that you get to place your first settlement after only one other player has had the chance to do so. You make sure you're on a healthy mix of wood, clay, and wheat, but mostly wheat. You need wheat. You always need wheat, every day. The wheat helps you develop cities and buildings within. You slowly collect plans for new buildings while your missionaries settle along the borders of the mine. If you're going to win, you have to expand in the direction of the miners, but faster. The player in control of the mine is close to winning, and you know you won't be able to do it alone. You casually, in conversation, point out how many times 9 has been rolled. With other players wise to the ore mine's lucrative nature, they set up armies outside it. You grin at the chaos of the table. Numbers appearing on dice, deciding fate. An island segregated into different hexagonal plots of land based on what you can get from them. A gray, miniature butt plug hops around, signifying a robber. The slight changes in brain chemicals your friends experience when they apply effort to this game. You love it all. You control it all. You flip over your church, your library, your university, and watch the table regulate. The game dissolves away, back into the box. You and your friends have a good laugh.